So, you did it. After years of saving and planning, that 529 plan is funded and ready to go. And that is a huge, huge accomplishment. But for a lot of people, this is right where a whole new kind of anxiety starts to creep in. How do I actually use this money the right way, without getting slammed with a surprise tax bill or penalties?
That really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, you've worked so hard for that tax-free growth, and the last thing you want is for one wrong move to put it all at risk. But here's the good news. With the right game plan, you can access every single dollar, completely tax-free. And you might be surprised to learn there are some really powerful new ways to use any money that's left over.
Okay, first up, we need a playbook. Getting your money out of a 529 tax-free isn't super complicated, but you definitely have to follow the rules. So think of this as your step-by-step guide to unlocking those funds without any nasty surprises.
And look, these aren't just some friendly suggestions. The rules for 529 plans come straight from the IRS, so understanding them is absolutely essential. All the financial experts agree, having a smart withdrawal strategy is every bit as important as having a smart savings strategy in the first place.
All right, let's dive right into the process. It really boils down to 5 pretty manageable steps. We're going to walk through the most important parts, and we have to start with the absolute foundation of all of this, which is what exactly can you pay for? So the IRS has a fancy name for it, Qualified Higher Education Expenses, or QHEs. But this is the official list of what counts. It covers the big-ticket items you'd expect, like tuition and housing. But it also includes all the essentials, like required textbooks, a new laptop for class, and even the internet bill for the dorm room, as long as the student is the one using it.
Now pay close attention, because this is a crucial point that trips a lot of people up. You can only withdraw enough money to cover the net cost of college. Let's take that Lucas example from College Invest. If the total bill is, say, $39,000, but the student gets a $7,000 scholarship, well, you can only make a qualified withdrawal for the $32,000 that's left. It's to prevent you from double dipping on tax-free money, which makes sense.
And that brings us to the next big question, one that honestly keeps a lot of parents up at night. What if you save too much? What happens if your kid gets a massive scholarship, or maybe decides a 4-year university just isn't for them?
For years, this was the #1 fear holding people back from using 529 plans. Was all that leftover cash just stuck, trapped in an account you couldn't touch without paying a bunch of taxes and a penalty? Well, thanks to a very recent change in the law, the answer to that question is now a resounding no.
And this is where the story gets really, really exciting. A piece of legislation called the Secure 2.0 Act came along and introduced a new rule that completely transforms the 529 plan, turning what used to be a potential problem into an absolutely incredible opportunity. And there it is. This is the absolute game changer. You can now take that leftover money in the 529 and roll it directly into a Roth IRA for your child, the beneficiary, and do it completely tax-free and penalty-free. Just like that, the fear of oversaving is pretty much gone.
The lifetime maximum you can roll over is $35,000 per beneficiary. Now just think about that for a second. You can take what was leftover college savings and instantly turn it into a $35,000 head start on your child's retirement. That is a massive wealth-building tool right there.
Okay, so of course, there are some important rules to know. The 529 account itself has to have been open for at least 15 years, and the specific money you're rolling over has to have been sitting in the account for more than 5 years. Plus, each year you can only roll over an amount up to the annual Roth IRA contribution limit, so doing the full $35,000 rollover will probably take a few years to complete.
But believe it or not, that Roth IRA rollover is just the beginning. The modern 529 plan is actually packed with other flexible options that can turn you into a really savvy financial strategist for your entire family.
And this is where you really see the true power of this thing. You have a whole toolkit of options. You can change the beneficiary to a sibling, a cousin, hey, even yourself. You can keep the money for grad school. You can use up to $10,000 to pay off existing student loans. You can even use it for private K-12 tuition or for a registered apprenticeship program. The 529 is just unbelievably versatile now.
All right, here's a fantastic strategy if you're trying to maximize financial aid. A 529 owned by a parent has a pretty small impact on aid eligibility. But thanks to recent simplifications to the FAFSA, that's the Federal Student Aid Application, a 529 that's owned by a grandparent is no longer reported at all. This could be a huge win for families who want to qualify for more need-based aid.
And here's one last pro tip, and this one is all about timing.
What if the market takes a dive right when that first tuition bill is due? Well, as this quote points out, you don't have to sell low. You could pay for that first year out of pocket or with other funds and just give your 529 investments time to hopefully recover. Then you can simply reimburse yourself from the 529 later on. It's a great bit of flexibility. So when you put this all together, the flexible withdrawal rules, that game-changing Roth IRA rollover, all the different ways you can use the money, and these smart timing strategies, it becomes really clear that the 529 plan has evolved into something much, much bigger.
Seriously, what started out as a pretty straightforward tuition savings plan is now this dynamic financial tool. It's an engine that can fund education at every level, kickstart retirement, pay off debt, and help you efficiently pass wealth between generations, all with incredible tax advantages. So the final question I'll leave you with is this. Now that you know what the 529 can really do, how does it change your strategy? Does it make you want to save more? Does it open up new possibilities for your kids or maybe even your grandkids down the road? The 529 is more powerful than it's ever been, and the possibilities are definitely worth exploring.